Can you tell us, with your experience on The Dressmaker, which was a huge success
Yeah.
in 2015, one of the great jewels
Yeah.
of 2015, tell us about what's going on with marketing of Australian films today.
I think The Dressmaker was a very special case. You've got a lot of factors at play there that give it advantages that some films just can't access. So it's an adaptation, and we know from research that the Writers Guild has done that adaptations do better at the box office in Australia. You've also got a very experienced producer, you've got a very experienced director, and you've got what we call marquee cast, so Hollywood A-listers. And in this case, you've got 4 very recognisable actors front and centre. So that's a huge advantage for an audience. But for me, that wasn't the thing that really made the difference, though. The producer, Sue, and I worked together for actually about 3 years before the film was released. So
You worked for 3 years on the marketing of the movie before it was released.
yeah, it was an unusual situation. I had been working at Film Victoria. I'd read the script, I knew the project, I knew that it was likely to be very, very strong. When I left Film Victoria, I wanted to work in digital marketing for feature films, and Sue was one of the first people I contacted, and I kind of said to her, hey, look, I'm really excited about the possibilities of Australian films using social media. I think The Dressmaker would be a great place to start. Here's what I would do. She was very receptive. She really wanted to learn more about digital and social media, and she agreed with me that we had, a bit of a standing start in terms of the popularity of the book. So, again, like a lot of factors at play. Sue and I worked together for about a year, off and on, just, very casually, talking to the distributor, kind of getting our ducks in a row, and then 18 months out from release, we actually kind of kicked into gear. So when the film went into production, we launched the social sites, we began speaking to the audience, building up community, and so that meant that by the time the film released, we had about 60,000 people engaged and ready to support and talk about the film.
Just quickly, what were the online components that you're talking about? You're talking about, what, a Facebook page?
Yeah, so for The Dressmaker, we used a Facebook page, a Pinterest page, which was great because our audience is skewed slightly older and female. We used Twitter, but in a very informational sense. We built a website, and we also built a mailing list. And we also did something a bit quirky, which is Rosalie Ham, the woman who wrote the book, actually wrote a blog, first-person blog, talking about her experience and her kind of emotional response to seeing her little story become a film starring Kate Winslet. And she also was in the film as an extra, so we got that quite unique perspective from her.
And how did that integrate with the more traditional elements of marketing? Commercials on TV, billboards and so on.
So the strategy and the work that I did was handled by Sue's production company and, paid for. And then the publicity and the marketing done by the distributor was kind of the traditional campaign. So, they did all the above the line, the TV, the ads, everything else, the red carpet premiere. In a way, if you want to kind of get into traditional marketing speak, Sue and I ran an always on campaign that was really consistent, and then they kicked in to high gear and ran, a short, sharp, and probably very expensive campaign at the end.
At what point? That was about 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months from release?
I think the trailer launched, I think the trailer launched about 8 weeks out from release. Right. And that's kind of when your traditional campaign gets going. Okay. There are definitely a lot of different budget levels within Australia, and different distributors do work in different ways. And this was definitely a film that had, a lot behind it, and so that they could actually spend a bit more on that campaign. So Yes. It was probably treated a bit more like a Hollywood-style release.
We've had films as big as Dressmaker that have had no marketing. So tell me about the principles that have been applied to The Dressmaker that should be applied to every Australian film that comes out.
So I can't speak so much for the marketing that the distributors undertook, but certainly for what Sue and I worked on, it was really about engaging with the audience very early, and it was about community building rather than advertising. So we spent our time managing that community. So if someone posted a photo, we would respond to them and we would, share the photo to the rest of our fans. If someone made a comment, we would reply to the comment. If somebody asked us a question, we would respond to them, we would find out the answer, we would go back to them. It sounds really simple, but we just treated it as and again, it's a retail term, but it was just customer service.
I would replace the word simple with basic.
Yeah.
Because people often ignore the basics, and when things go wrong in any sphere, people always refer to, have we forgotten the basics of what we're doing? You've just referred to engagement with the audience, early engagement with the audience. In other words, get people excited about the brand as early as you can.
Absolutely. And give them an understanding of what it is that you're trying to achieve, and what they might expect at the end. And one of the things that the distributor was a little surprised that we wanted to start this conversation with our audience so early. And one of the things that we spoke to them about was the fact that we would have the conversation with the audience from an early stage about when and where they would see the film. And that actually organically turned into something that was really lovely for us and for the fans, I think, which was Dress Up for the Dressmaker. And that was something that, kind of happened, was completely fan-driven. We loved it, but people began talking about what they were going to wear the first time they saw it. And obviously the Dressmaker is all about this very lovely, very luxurious high-end fashion. And people just wore the most incredible outfits to go and see the film together. Whole groups dressed up, intergenerational groups. It was just so much fun, and wherever we could, we were sharing these photos so that people could actually really appreciate the amazing outfits that people had gone to the movies in. And that was, again, not something that we had planned on, and I think, I don't think that you can plan for behavior like that. It falls a bit flat. It was very spontaneous, but it was just something that we really genuinely loved.
No, but you can plan for engagement, though. That is
Absolutely.
something that you can go out.
I think you can build a space where people feel excited about coming to talk to one another, and excited about sharing their photos, and that is what we put in place, and that was what we were really proud to see happening.
So to bring in a current example of the film 3 Summers, written and directed by Ben Elton, the film has died at the box office. This happens almost all the time. What's gone wrong, just in terms of principle, with the marketing of a film like that, if a film has died that quickly?
Look, that is a very tough question. I think that, we do have very traditional ideas of what a cinema release looks like, and they're not suitable for every film anymore. We've been talking about The Dressmaker, which in many ways is a very, golden age Hollywood film. It's a Western. It's absolutely made for a big screen release. And it has a broad appeal, and it also appeals to an audience who aren't often directly spoken to. I can't really comment on the film that you're describing because I don't really know too much about the audience, but I think it is probably fair to say that if you can't match the marketing budget for your above the line, your radio, your television, your side of the tram, of the kind of bigger budget films that you are competing against, then you can help your film by working in the digital sphere and creating community, and then really taking the time to engage with those communities.
But it would be better.
It doesn't always happen.
But it would be better to allocate a significant part of the production budget or the budget of the film to marketing, to advertising, to match the production budget to maybe about 60%, 50%? What would be fair?
It's very hard to put a figure on it. I know there are lots of people working in this space who do advocate for a very set fee. For the kind of work that I do, which is largely around audience building and community engagement, I actually tend to say that time can be as important as money. So, you may not have an extra $20,000 in your budget, but there may be someone on your team who, you know, you can make sure spends 2 hours a day really invigorating your platforms and really responding to people. And that in a way is, you know, much more significant. Another film that I worked on recently is called Dance Academy, the movie.
Yes.
You know, and we
Which
spent...
I saw was good, and it was based on a TV show.
Absolutely. So again, you know, that's a very good advantage, and we carried that over into the film's release. But, you know, we spent time building that community, and we didn't spend money on advertising. So by the time that we released our trailer, which was a Boxing Day trailer release, which is very scary because that's a very busy day, both online and offline.
You got lucky that there weren't really, really huge films opening Boxing Day. There were a couple, but they weren't Lord of the Rings size. I'm sorry, I'm digressing.
I actually think that Beauty and the Beast opened on Boxing Day, which was pretty epic, but we did get our trailer in front of a lot of the films, which was great. But, you know, really just thinking about our Facebook release even, you know, we had worked so hard on engaging our community that when we launched our trailer, we had very quickly over 1 million views, and in terms of our reach, which is a bit of a nebulous figure, but we wound up with a reach of over 6 million, and that was completely organic. We didn't spend any money on that release at all, and I really attribute that to the time that we spent setting that community in motion.
Given that digital is a low cost option, though perhaps time and labour intensive, what advice would you give to young filmmakers who have put together, or who are putting together their passion project, how to best utilise the digital mediums that are out there?
Well, it's an interesting question, Jim.
Media that are out
and
there.
I think you and I probably share a passion for independent and low budget filmmaking, and these projects are very dear to my heart as well. And I have a lot of friends who have worked on and produced and created these projects. And something that continually breaks my heart is that I see people spending so much time and so much energy and giving, you know, almost daily updates about how their project is going to their friends and family on their personal Facebook pages. And, you know, when you are working in the film world, you're operating within a bubble, and it's a very nice bubble, and everyone's going to tell you they love your stuff, and they're going to go to your media screening, but that's not actually meaningful in real terms. So the challenge to independent filmmakers is to ignore all of that and to actually get out of the bubble, to not speak to your cohorts and your comrades and your people who are actually trying to do the same thing as you are, but to get out there to the broader audience, to the people who actually think that what you're doing is completely amazing, and they don't know anyone else who's making independent film, and they feel really special that they found out about it, and they're actually going to take 5 friends and go to your Monday morning screening. So the challenge there is to figure out how to stop talking to your kind of immediate public and reach a broader audience. And seriously, every post that you make on your personal page could be much better spent trying to get out there.